Hello everybody and welcome back to Vintage Thursday. So today join us. We have behind the 35 with 735 loader on. One of the last things we said in the last video where this appeared, which was kind of the introduction video, we didn't run it in that video because the silencer is missing and the exhaust manifold is cracked, broken off, and we had a new one on order while we were recording that video. Now the new one has turned up, so today we are going to put it on, see how it runs, because I couldn't really tell how it was running just with no manifold on. It was noisy and popping and banging. I don't think it runs all that well, but can't really tell for sure until there's a silencer. So that is today's first job. So firstly, here is our original broken manifold. Now in the introduction video we did say it has had a weld repair before and the weld has broken again, so you know it's been somehow broken twice. Okay, so we're just going to bin this bit now, and here is our nice new manifold. So it sits on the engine like that, and then obviously the elbow fits over the hole and onto the silencer. So we are going to hopefully reuse this elbow as long as we can get it off in one piece. Well, firstly we're going to try undoing the nuts. These two might come undone. Not much hope of that one coming undone, but we'll see what happens. And then also we have here is the exhaust pipe that came with it, and I have just noticed, which I didn't notice before, if I can find it. There it is. You will probably, video probably won't see it, but it does say MF5 on there. So this might not be original to the tractor, or as old as a tractor, but it is a genuine Massey Ferguson silencer. So hopefully we're going to put that one back on. Oh, and we also have gaskets and studs. Okay, so we're going to replace these three studs with some nice shiny new ones. Right, so first thing we're going to do, take off this original elbow, and hopefully he's good enough to use again. So first off we are going to try the easy ones, or hopefully easy, the ones that aren't too rusted, then let's call it that. Well, that's a no-go. Quickly give up on that idea. We'll cut them off and be done with it. I think we're there, finally. Right, that's fit for the scrap now. And we seem to so far have saved the elbow. Just knock those little, knock the studs out, or the stubs, and good to go. Okay, so there we go. We have saved our original elbow. Took a bit more work than I was anticipating, but not to worry. Right, back to the manifold. So here are our nuts we need to undo. They should be brass, so hopefully it won't be too difficult to undo. Now this one here doesn't look like a brass nut. And I think the stud is going to come out with this one. But if they all come undone as easy as this, it won't matter. Oh, he's loose. So, as is always the case, having a loader on any tractor, it doesn't matter whether it's an old one or a modern one, you do always get in the way. Right, so that broken stub should now come off. There should be a spring washer on there. So here is our first breakage clear. And there we go. Second broken item gone. Ah, that one. There we go. That was nice and easy. There we go. Right, so we'll just give it a bit of a... That one's actually fairly clean. This one here is a little bit crusty. We're just going to give it a rough clean up for now. What we're going to do, like we said in the last video on this tractor, we are going to have the head off fairly soon. Check the bores, lap the valves, or just check the valves, see what they're doing, check the injectors, because it's such a poor starter. We're lacking compression somewhere, I reckon, and possibly need to sort injectors as well. But yeah, that's clean enough for now. And then when the head's off, we'll get it properly clean. We'll have all this off, check everything, just get everything properly cleaned. But for now, let's get some gaskets back on there. Right, so we've managed to separate that first nut we took off, the steel nut. It took a lot of heat, and the stud he'll be alright for now, but he probably wants changing. He's a little bit damaged there. So this is why you don't put steel nuts on a manifold, just because they rust up. I'm going to have a look. That might have to go back on. I'm not sure if I got another nut or not. I shall have to check the stores. But yeah, we'll give that a minute or two to cool down. And in the meantime, we will fix our elbow and manifold together. So we've got new studs here. Okay, you can see in there, that's brass nuts in there. So we will add the new studs. And then the gasket, and then our original reclaimed elbow. If the holes weren't full of rust. There he goes. And now we have to do take 2 because I forgot to put the spring washers on. There we go, all sorted now. Right, time to get our stud back in. Get some new gaskets on, and Bob will be, as they say, your uncle. I've lost my gaskets, there they are. Right. Right, so I do have some brass manifold nuts, but not the right size, so we're going to have to put that steel one back on and change it at a future date. So there we go, manifold on. We're going to remember our new washers this time. Don't want to be doing take 2 again. Right, there we go, all fitted. New washers all round, but we have reused the old nuts. So that is that little bit completed. Now all we need to do is get the exhaust pipe back on. So as you would expect, the clamp is seized up. I do have another one, but we'll put that on later on in the video. This is just getting a bit late now, I'm going to lose daylight, so we're just going to put this on for now and tighten it up shortly. Right, so ignore that last comment. I have managed to tighten up the clamp. It's not too bad now, but it is leaning just a little bit in. It's a bit bent out on the bottom where it flares onto the elbow, so we might be able to straighten that up a little bit. But yeah, it looks better now with a exhaust pipe on. Big question is, what does it sound like? Right, so there we go. It is sounding a lot nicer now, much quieter. It's not running right though, you can tell. If you remember back when we first brought the 35X here, that was a rough runner. It was worse than this. But it's not quite right. It sounds okay, but it's not quite right. But we just couldn't tell that until we got the silencer on. Anyway, it looks a lot better now. Right, I think we're going to come back tomorrow night. We're going to do a little bit of an experiment, have a play with it, just see what it can do. So now, as you've just seen, we have the counterweight on. First time this counterweight has been used since I was given it. Okay, so our friends Mark and Dave donated this to me, blimey, 4 or 5 years ago, and this is the first opportunity I've had to use it in its proper context on a loader. So we have come to our local muck heap. to give the loader a proper workout, give the tractor its first proper workout. I have had it running probably 25 minutes while I was fiddling about, going and picking up the counterweight and getting it in the yard and locking gates and all the rest of that. Tractor has just sat there ticking over very nicely. It runs better than I was expecting. With the silencer on, you know, like I said earlier on, you just can't tell how it runs when it's noisy. It ticks over nicely, better than I was expecting. We do have not a severe leak on the front crank pulley, but it's bad enough, it needs doing. And I did also just check the battery is charging, so that's good, although I don't trust the wiring. Okay, so what I will do, what I do on every tractor, I put a new wiring loom on it just for peace of mind. I don't leave a battery connected on anything that I haven't checked through the wiring on, and I haven't checked the wiring, and I haven't checked through the wiring yet, so this tractor is always stored with the battery disconnected. That's just a safety thing. So anyway, right, let's get into the muck heap and see what this tractor can do. It should go a little bit better now we've got the counterweight on, but those tyres, it's not going to push very well. But we'll certainly see the extent of the power in the hydraulics with pushing in and lifting up the muck heap. So that's what we're going to do. So there we go, just a very quick little play with a muck fork. One thing I have noticed with this push-off fork, it doesn't empty the fork very well. Now if you were on fresh dung, maybe if you were like cleaning out a yard or much fresher dung, a bit more strawy, it probably would all fall off. But this is what we spread. You know, we like to spread muck when it is got some age to it. This is some real good stuff. Go onto grassland. This will be going out this summer. There's very little smell to it, and as you can tell, you know, it hangs on the fork because it is quite crumbly. Now if you were loading in, I was quite high when I was pushing off. If you were loading into a spreader with a lower, you know, the spreaders of this era were quite low. That might make a difference, the angle of the tines, I don't know. But yeah, that is the only, not going to call it a problem, the only thing with this push-off fork. It doesn't always empty. But I must say, you can't really see them now, but the tines that are in it are not original. They're not original Massey Ferguson tines. They are modern Kverneland type muck fork tines, and they could be a little bit longer. So that could be the issue. Maybe this ram doesn't travel the plate right to the end of the tines because the tines are modern. That could be part of it as well. But either way, it doesn't really matter. So there we go. We have had a very nice, quick little play. I showed you a little bit of footage of using the levers. Okay, so this is your up and down. This is in a down position. This is your neutral and your raise. Like we said in the original introduction video, you do physically need to return the lever to the neutral position. It doesn't spring like a spool valve would, because you do need to physically put it back. I do need to get this nut adjusted. It's seized up at the moment. This one isn't quite in the neutral position. It wants to sneak down just a little bit, and then it's easy to just level up those two with your fingers. You know you're in neutral. At the moment with those two level, it does still slightly creep. Okay, so that's your up and down, and then this is your diverter. So that is boom position, lift up. That is in the that diverts the oil to the fork, and then when we hooked the weight block on, we put it in the central position, and that isolates both surfaces on the loader and diverts the oil to the linkage. So that's how all that works. But just briefly before we end the video, one question I must answer. So probably around about 3 months ago, and before this tractor arrived here, I had a question or a comment from a viewer. It was either on Instagram or on YouTube, I can't remember, and I've looked and I can't find it, but I had a comment or had a question, and that person said, and because I can't find it, I can't kind of say who I'm talking to at the minute, but this question came in: when did the 35 gain its vertical air intake pipe? Did it come in with the introduction of the Perkins engine? And the only answer I could give was, I can't tell you that, I don't know. I don't have that information. But now I do, kind of, because I can tell you it didn't come in with the Perkins engines. This is a Perkins engine. It doesn't have the raised air intake. What it does have is just the open top of the air filter, and there would have been a hose leading from here into this hole in the back of the dash, same as it did on the early standard engines 35s. Okay, so there's a hose missing. I need to get one of those. So there we go, to whoever asked that question, and I just simply can't find it. I've had a look and I don't know who it was, so I can't tell you when it did come in, but it didn't come in with the introduction of the Perkins engine. So there we go. Anyway, right, I am very pleased, firstly with how very pleased to get that silencer back on. It's a much nicer tractor to use. It just makes it so much quieter. I'm very pleased with how it runs, and I'm pleased with the performance of the loader. The hydraulics on this, I reckon, are very good. As I was pushing up, it just kept lifting and lifting. You didn't see it on what I was filming because it was the far side wheel, but we were spinning a lot on this side. As you can see, he's been spinning, so the tyres, it's not pushing very well because it was losing traction. For some reason this wheel never lost traction, it was always spinning over there. But yeah, we were losing traction, but we weren't short of hydraulic oomph to lift and push, and push in. You would get a good forkful. So there we go. I think I will end this video here. I think the next port of call for this tractor is we need to investigate the brakes. And this side does work, the far side doesn't. I'm hoping it's just something seized or something needs adjusting. We may need to put some linings in, we don't know. So the next time you see this tractor appearing in a video, we're going to be investigating the brakes. So there we go. I will say thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I think it got a lot more interesting towards the end when we were actually having a little play with it. So right, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.